So, dudes, so I've been seeing a lot of awful takes on Wuthering Waves character designs online, and so I thought it would be a good idea to bring in someone to defend those points and talk about exactly why they're full of shit. Alright, so sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy about an hour and a half's worth of just absolute nonsense rambling about the character designs in Wuthering Waves. And let me know whether you agree with the points in this video down below in the comments. Take it easy, guys. Brilliant. So, Livy, just before we start, can you confirm, just for my sanity, my peace of mind, can you confirm that I have your consent to absolutely blast your opinions today?
Yes, you have my consent. Mostly because you don't have my face in it.
Brilliant. Now I can clip that out of context and...
Clip it out of context, be like, yeah, you have my consent to insert whatever it is you want my consent for here.
Exactly, to roast your brother.
Yeah, exactly.
But to be fair, I'd probably do that anyway. So
yeah, dude, you could have my permission to do that any day of the week. I could give you a bunch of sound bites right now.
So, just to start, right, to sort of lay out where we're coming from here, you have not played Wuthering Waves at all.
Purely coming from an artistic perspective. I don't have an interest in I have a rough idea of the backstory of the world. Like, I know it's quite militaristic. And I know there's obviously a lot of elemental aspects to it. So I'll take that into account. But I don't know the general lore of the land. But, still the character designs of that.
So, what is your thesis? What are you presenting us here with today?
One, nearly all the silhouettes, especially on the female end. This is less applied to the male characters, because what I saw from what Ethan showed me of the male characters, most of them are quite thought out in detail. And a lot of them I have minimal issue with. It is the female, more or less exclusive, and I know a level of that is fan service, especially it's early in release.
Okay.
There isn't a lot of, it's not like super in depth at the minute. So I take that into account as well, that there is growing room.
Okay, so just to summarize that first point there, to make sure it's nice and succinct, is you feel though the female silhouettes are far too similar to each other? Yeah,
pretty much.
Okay.
And that there isn't enough distinction between what a character type is. So, like, if there's a sword-wielding character, they could look just as similar to a magic-wielding character or a gunslinger character. And there isn't enough of a distinction to be able to tell directly what their main points are.
Okay. And then, do you have any other points you would like to bring?
Yeah. Somehow they've managed to make the main characters you play as less interesting than the background characters. I have no issue with the actual company's ability to character design, because I've seen, my brother has shown me examples of them doing a really, really good job. And their background characters, phenomenally designed. Like, they really show world building. The main characters you're playing as is where the issues arise. It just becomes the same kind of copy and pasted character over and over again with minimal detail, minimal kind of characteristics. And that doesn't affect the character aesthetic in any way.
So
just the character design.
So the playable characters don't have distinct enough designs compared to the NPCs.
Yes.
This is all your opinion. You don't need to disclaim anything. So this is all your opinion.
Is it all my
It's obviously not fact because you're wrong, and we're going to prove that. But
sure we are. Yeah. Sure we are.
So
sure.
Resonator. That's the name of the character, like the name of the group of characters. They call Resonators. So Resonators don't look distinct enough from NPCs. And nice even, everyone loves the rule of 3. Do you have a third point?
I think my third point is everything does seem to fall into more or less the same character. And this is really evident. Female design.
Make sure you don't move away from the mic.
I feel like the last point is that, which is really evident with the female designs over the male designs, is they are, like I said, the same cut and paste and the really good example of that is nearly all of the female, bar maybe one or two, are in the same kind of cropped dress with the cleavage out, with shoulders out. Even in characters where you do not need that to show in any way whatsoever, it is completely unnecessary to their character and would still work in a world where if you covered them up a bit more, it would still be completely fine. Yet they're still showing these motifs, even though it's irrelevant to them.
Okay, so is it that the female outfits are too revealing, or that the female outfits are too similar? Or both?
Both, pretty much, yeah, both.
Okay.
They're too similar, and I think there are some characters where it's totally okay. I have no issue with revealing costuming. That's fine. If you've got a reasoning, like, say, for example, if you had a burlesque character, it would have so much sense why they wear very revealing clothing. They're a burlesque dancer. Their profession is to dress revealing. You've got a soldier who's running around in a crop top and a miniskirt, and then you've got the male counterpart in more covered up clothing, or an NPC counterpart who's more covered up. You have to question, is this an element of lazy character design or fancy?
Okay. Alright, well those are some, in theory, good points. I'm obviously going to prove to you and the audience why they're not good points. Just because...
Well, you're going to fail, mate.
Well, no, I mean, it's just the right thing to do at the end of the day. But
doing it for the justice of the community.
Let's go through them one at a time. So, female silhouettes are too similar. Do you have an example of this to start off with? Obviously, you've got access to the wiki there. Do you have specific characters that you would like to point towards?
In my opinion, the absolute worst offenders. A Yang Yang.
Okay.
I'm saying that right?
Yang Yang, yeah. Again, make sure you stay close to the mic, because Ethan's mic is super sensitive.
It is. Which one was it? Yang Yang and Shura. I think those are the two off the top of my head.
Sorry, Yang Yang and who?
Shura. I don't play the game. I'm going from an aesthetic look.
No, I didn't actually hear the name of the character you said.
Shura. Shiha?
Type it to me.
1 minute. I could literally use any example, but I'm going with this to give you a benefit of the doubt.
Wait, do you mean Sanhua?
I think I mean her, yes. Somehow.
Okay.
I missed the end when I read it.
So.
And another good example of way too similar for their own good is Yang Yang and Taoqui? She has the pink design. Taoqui? I think it might be that, but she has the pink design.
So.
And
Yang Yang, Sanhua, and Taoqui. So these three, yeah?
Yes. Now I will say that Shangha, or however you pronounce the middle one's name, she is the worst. She is the least offensive out of all. I will say, out of all of the main cast that I saw, she is objectively the best, but she still falls into the trap of miniskirt and a crop top, or a short dress and a short top.
Okay. So, yeah, go on.
No, you're good.
Okay, so so specifically, we're using these as examples of defending point 1, right? So the female silhouettes are too similar. If you completely blanked them out, made them just an outline with a filled in black, that you would not be able to tell them apart, right? Okay, so let me see if I can pull up, because there's a brilliant Twitter thread that someone actually already made on this. And it's funny, because as soon as I saw that and knew you wanted to debate the character designs, I knew this would come up. I'm so glad you brought up Taoqui. The original tweet was deleted, but the tweet replies were not. So
we're backtracking on it.
Let me grab the earliest tweet in the thread, and then you can see. So this is the earliest tweet in the thread. I'm going to bring it up for everyone at home, and I'm going to send it to you now. So, essentially what this person did was they went through and analysed Taoqi's design specifically compared to Yang Yang, right?
Well, that is coincidental.
And Xinyan. And what they found was that when you take the clothing into consideration, Taoqi is very clearly a chubby model And obviously,
Yes.
we don't mean overweight, right? We mean like she's got
Curvy.
she's
She's got a
curvy.
waist.
Exactly.
Got a
She's got
waist
a
and she got hips and
she's
she
got a
got
bit of that
abs.
bakery, you know?
And that is the only thing differentiating him. And I will give you that. I will 110% give you that. But then you can also fall into the category she is the only character with that. There is not a single, which is a whole different can of worms.
Whole different kind of
Everything else,
worms.
more or less.
However, you cannot argue that Wuthering Waves has a silhouette problem with its females. Now, I've got
if
on
you
screen...
take the clothing off.
No.
If you take
Even with the clothing, even with the clothing on, which is typically how I prefer my video game characters.
Yeah, I'm inclined to
Even
agree with you there.
even with the clothing on, it is still very, very distinct, the difference in silhouette. Now, obviously, Tauchi is an easy example, because she's a little bit shorter, and
A bit shorter.
and she's a bit wider.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Go on.
also need to look at things like the clothing, because it does make a difference, clothing and hairstyling, in terms of how the silhouette looks. Now, in that same tweet thread, we can see Yang Yang and Xinyan both stood with the comparison, right?
Yeah,
And
we're comparing lines and silhouette.
Mm-hmm. And Xinyan, which is the monk-looking girl, has that really long wisp of hair at the top, right? And then she's got sort of robe that flows around her in a very particular, like it hangs away from her body, right? In fact, if I bring her up in game here, because I am fortunate enough to have her, if I zoom all the way out and have her stand still, like she would very clearly pass a lineup test, and that's from the front, kind of the back as well. Her hair it's with a pure silhouette, it would be a little bit harder to pull her out, just because the hair is going to fold into the clothes in a true silhouette. But from the front especially, she's got these really big long earrings, this massive wisp of hair at the top, and she has a very sort of rotating design to her outfit. Now,
But that is only due to her yin and yang elements. And again, I'll say she is also one of the few characters I will say has half decent, especially compared to some of the worst offenders on it.
Sure.
Because obviously they had that element of the yin and yang to build off of to keep it simple for themselves with with audiences knowing what it should look.
Okay.
But what I will say is a major issue that the game has is that everybody seems to have these flowy motifs, which is great, and I think it's really good that they're having one continuous design that branches over to each character. You all know this is the game they're from.
Yeah.
The problem with that is for almost all the girls, it all falls into the same type of pattern of either two wispy bits that flow around the body. Right? And that's like where, if we weren't comparing body sizes and color palettes, because that's about the only few things that change about it, if we were to break it down to that, you would see the fact there is nothing that different about them that I think is the main issue there.
So again,
all of them seem to have this great flowy design, but they all have the same copy-pasted design across.
Again, specifically talking about from a silhouette perspective, and we'll get onto these other points in a second, but specifically talking from a silhouette perspective, whilst obviously none of these characters have the instant striking, like, oh my god, that's obviously Goku, right, style of silhouette that's immediately recognizable, because it's just not what the developers were going for, right? If you specifically put them in if you said someone here who's played Wuthering Waves, here are the Wuthering Waves silhouettes, and can you pick out each character just from the silhouette? I think the majority of people would be able to. Yang Yang, right? She has this bow and beret combo that gives her a lot of vertical headspace above where her eyes are, right? And then her hair at the back is split into this sort of, I don't know exactly what bird this reminds me of, but her hair is sort of split apart, almost like wings, right? And she obviously does have the feather motif in the way that her hair is highlighted. Plus, she's wearing so at the back, to sort of give her legs a more distinct shape, right? She has the tuxedo tail, right? I don't remember specifically how this tuxedo is called, but she has that specific sort of like, yeah, that tuxedo element to the back of her dress. So I think Yang Yang is very easy to pick out, mainly because of those two features. And again, I'm just talking silhouette.
Look at somebody for, like, I'm never going to pronounce
Sanhua?
Sanghao. You look at Sanghao's design and argue a similar thing. She has this long, flowy drop skirt, which gives you the same visual impression, right?
Wait,
she also has the tendril coming down from the back of her beret, that again gives you the same visual impact. You don't need that on both characters. In fact, the characters, if they were related characters, so they were purposely trying to tie them in with similar silhouettes, similar if they were wearing uniforms, with slight stylistic changes, I would 110% get it then. But they don't. They look like they have nothing to do with each other, and yet they're still holding on to these same visual motifs that just pull away from that design so massively. And again, I looked at Jesus Christ, these names. Dyslexia and these names ain't going well together, man.
So
I'm gonna just type it.
I was gonna say, just to quickly jump in here with Sanhua. So I will agree with you, Sanhua has the same beret as Yang Yang, right? Just a different color. Let me just make sure I'm not talking out of my ass here and confirm it's the same. Yeah, it is the same beret.
The one thing she's...
So that actually does link them together, because they are part of the same, like, military troop, right? They're outriders, so they are connected that way through their visual design. But Sanhua has a very different... And hang on, let me finish my point here.
I'll let you finish, but I can build off that to be like, no, it does not count because of another reason, but carry on.
So Sanhua has a very different silhouette to Yang Yang because her hair is... I don't know if she think her hair is like super short, she just ties it up. But because of that...
I think it's like short and then she ties up the bottom bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm looking at from this promotion of it.
And then well, hang on, I've got a...
I wish I had the game to look at right now, because I'd be able to like tell you the length of everything.
Yeah, I don't have her. So this is the image I'm looking at. I will get her tomorrow. But
yeah, that's like a similar image to what I'm looking at.
Yeah, you can see the back of her hair there. It does look like it's tied up.
Yeah.
And it's braided as well, so it's probably quite tied up.
With the issue with saying the beret ties them in, was one of the major issues with that is she's got this long piece in the front that is basically giving you the same visual language as what the bow was giving you on Yang Yang.
I disagree heavily.
If she had had that pulled away and you just had the harsh lines of the beret complementing the fringe with the fringes lines, then I'd say, yeah, there's absolutely no relation to it. But she's got the tendril on one side and she's got this big poof of hair on the other side that's tying it back in. Not to mention she has like this like ribbony thingy coming around the back that further emphasizes that bow kind of aesthetic to it.
No, I think you're heavily underestimating how clear some of these details become or how like clear these outlines become in a silhouette. You are never going to mistake that tuft of hair on her right side, on the right side of her face, compared to the bow that Yang Yang has. And if you look specifically at the image I sent you, this sort of long, full standing shot on the far right,
yeah,
her design is very simply small top, big. Small top, big bottom. Or I think the like meme format I've seen is small top, big pants, but obviously she's not wearing pants.
I'll agree with you. It's
very clearly different to Yang Yang. The skirt is a wider silhouette. She doesn't have the hair making her torso silhouette wider like Yang Yang does, right? Her torso silhouette is very clearly tight, like, well, not tiny, but
yeah, I'll give you that.
Pretty small, right? Because she doesn't have the wide at the sides. And overall, I would argue, is a much more balanced design. I think Sanhua has a better design than Yang Yang, but they're not similar.
I agree, like
Sanhua
has a considerably better design than Yang, because it does show the militaristic roots much clearer than Yang. Like, you said they were supposed to be in the same sort of legion.
Yeah.
There is no crossover, bar the beret that is a completely different design and a completely different color palette. There is no crossover. And the bit with the skirt where you're saying it drops in the back, for one, you're still getting the visual language of the short skirt. In a silhouette, you wouldn't be able to distinguish the fact the skirt is still attached. With Yang Yang, she has those long pieces at the back of her skirt that come down into this almost like bottom of a tuxedo type of thing that would give off the same visual impact.
It doesn't,
now, I'm not
because
saying
it's so
they're
much
exactly
narrower.
the same.
It's so much narrower.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but I think they're too close for comfort. If they wanted to say, like, yes, they're in the same kind of military uniform, they're gonna be the same, I'd be like, that's completely fine. Except Yang Yang doesn't look like she's from a military background. There is nothing other than that beret ties her to want to look similar.
So specifically, in regards to the military, the Resonators, which are the characters that we get to play as, such as Yang Yang and Sanhua, they are of a different caliber and a different ranking compared to the regular military. So that's why their outfits are more unique and less uniform, specifically because they are like a special class tier of units, you know?
You can have uniform and uniqueness.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a uniform. What she's wearing is not uniform. It's just the beret that ties them in.
Yang Yang, hands down now, is literally running. In fact, all of them are running around in halter tops for starters, right?
I'm unfamiliar with your magic words.
A halter top is basically just a top that is backless, and it ties up around the back and around your neck, so it's haltered around your neck, right?
Okay.
That is the main crux of what a halter top is. Now, you can argue that, oh, she's wearing a high neckline, she has a necklace. But that still makes no fucking sense for a military. Like, even Yang Yang, again, is god-awful, but she genuinely, when I saw her, I was like, okay, maybe she's some level of royalty. That's why she's running around in such fancy-ass garments. And then Ethan was like, no, she is a military uniform person. And I was like, okay, it makes no sense for a character who would have had to go up all those ranks in an incredibly strenuous physical job to want to run around like that. And we're not even getting started on the high heel. Right?
So
I won't bring in the high heels. I won't bring in the high heels, but I will say
the high heels is one of my particular pain points with female character designs. I think they're way overused. That being said,
they just don't need to be there. They do not need to be there. That being
said, technically speaking, high heels do originate from the military, specifically male horse riders. That's where high heels originally come from. For
specific reasons. This is where my knowledge on fashion history comes in. Because they were very only used for horse riders and cavaliers because it was harder to fall.
Do you know what her job title is?
Is it like a cavalier? Because if it's a cavalier, I'll be like, that's totally fine. She's wearing high heels. That makes sense.
Outrider.
So she's some level of riding some sort of animal, I'm assuming then.
I mean, if that's what you want to call me.
Jesus Christ. I have no context for this thing.
I'm just kidding. Yang Yang's not my first choice. No, okay, I'll give you this, right? I'll give you this on Yang Yang.
For it.
No, shut up. It's my opinion. My turn.
So what happened to keeping it civil, man?
I will give you this on Yang Yang. I do think she looks a bit like a receptionist.
Thank you. That is all I am saying. If she is supposed to be...
However, that is not what we're arguing. We're arguing that all the female characters have a similar silhouette. And that is not the case. Plus, we haven't even started talking about the lollies.
Oh my...
Now, obviously...
talk about the fucking lollies.
They have a different silhouette.
Yeah, but then if you're looking at them in their own category...
Okay, looking at them in their own category, they are the most diverse group in the game. And I say that there's only 2 of them, actually, to my knowledge.
There's only 2 of them, so is there an argument to say that they are the most... Because there's only 2.
What's the other lolly called? Verena. That's it.
Encore and Verena, yeah.
Encore?
Or whatever you say. Looked to me and my dyslexic brain, it looked like Encounter.
It's encore. You know, like at a show.
I will say they are pretty visual, but again, all this like flowiness.
So
I wish there was, and I know you can. There is one character that's in like, but then she's a gunslinger, and then I looked at her male counterpart, and I was like, okay, why is the male counterpart has a really nice visual design?
which
Female
one, Liz?
counterpart.
Are you on about Mortefi?
No. Oh,
Yanwu?
Chica.
Oh wait, no, hang on. So you're talking about Chisia, the red-haired gunslinger, right?
Gunslinger, and then there's a male gunslinger.
Yeah, what's the male one you're talking about? Because there's 3 male gunslingers in the game. The red-haired one is white-haired. You say?
That's not right. Alto.
Alto.
A-A-L.
Yeah. I got him. Okay, wait, hang on. So just before
I saw these two characters back to back in gameplay. I saw him, and then I saw her, and their moveset was almost identical. With obviously, I will say that the animation on these, chef's kiss. Like the little pivots in like movement and the way they hold themselves. The developers did such a good job on that. I have got to say, like, chef's kiss, round of an applause. Holy shit, why did you put so much detail?
So, just quickly, because I feel like, well, actually, you know what? I won't add that as an extra point. Just before we move on, because I feel like we're getting into point 3 here about the female designs rubbing you the wrong way.
I will say this. You've got a point that there is maybe enough visual difference between each to make it versatile enough. But I don't think enough is good enough. It is it's chalking up to be a really popular game, and it's probably gonna surpass Genshin. Not to compare it to Genshin, because I know that is a sense.
Yeah, you said the G word.
We don't talk about it, okay?
Yeah.
But to say it's going to surpass it, it probably will. The combat of it, like I said, there is room to improve. This is very early days stuff, and I really hope they do improve, because some of the designs I did see, especially on background characters and the world building, is very well done. And at the moment, it just feels like they're trying to get a user base in, and they're using this as a way to get the user base in, to try and get them hooked on them. Which, in a marketing way, really, really, really smart. In an artistic way, really, really, really dumb. So I'll say there is enough of visual different silhouette designs. Do I think it could be better? 110% better. There is way too much similarity at the moment. There is just enough to make them distinct, but not enough for you to say like, oh, 110% this is Changhua, 110% this is Yang Yang. Or whatever their names are, because I can pronounce them. God.
Okay, so just to be clear, just to make sure we're on the same page here, what you're essentially saying is, I'm right.
I'm not saying you're right. I'm saying there are aspects
you're just
of your
saying
point
you're wrong.
that are correct.
So you're wrong? Is that what you're saying? Because it's one of the two. Preferably both.
Yeah, both. I'm right and I'm wrong. You're going to sound clip that, man.
So
you just be like, she's wrong, enter it here.
So here's the thing, folks. This is why I specifically, and I'll just quickly put it on screen, this is why I've specifically made points and made very, very simple sentences as to what the points are. Because when we keep coming back to these, that's how we win the argument. If we let Livy just ramble off and talk about all these different unconnected points, right, rather than nailing down on one, that's how you lose an argument with a woman. Fucking write your points down. Listen, if you come to my
advice of the century, write your points down. They can't defeat you if you write the points down.
Exactly.
In hindsight, I probably should have wrote my points down, because I'm like going off of the most basic information of seeing this game like 10 minutes ago and being like, this is not good.
I'm just hearing excuses now. So,
but like I said, there is room for improvement. There are better ones than there are others. But if we're looking at the whole scope of it, there are just too many little similarities that are meaning they're crossing over. They shouldn't be crossing over. And I think if they polished up those designs just a bit more, made the lines a bit crisper. Like, middle name here, not even going to try and pronounce it at this point.
Sanhua?
Sangha. She's got these really beautiful straight lines. Her character is emphasized by these crisp, straight lines. And to stop her being compared to Yang Yang, a really good way of showing that is instead of having a piece of her fringe kind of poof out a bit, if they had just kept that as one straight piece, tying it into the rest of her character design, it would have been much crisper. I would have no leg to stand
So you want
on.
her to be more straight?
Well, I mean, if she wanted me, I'd want her, but that's not the point.
Because I think Sanhua is very gay-coded.
She's a
like,
lesbo,
she
love.
fucks all the women.
Oh yeah, she walks into a military camp and she's like, "Ooh, let's go find a young one."
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so before I
I
get
say I am
cancelled,
gay, by the
let's
way.
go on to the
Yeah, I'm
let's go
gay.
on to the
Please
next
don't cancel
point.
me. I'm gay.
So, Resonators don't look distinct enough from NPCs. That was I believe, your next point.
Opposite. The NPC's character designs were better than Resonators are unique, but from the world building perspective and the way the world is presented to you. When I saw the NPC designs and I looked at it and I was like, this makes far more sense and is much better done than what we've been given with the main cast. 'Cause the main cast, again, just feels like fan service.
Okay, so I've just walked up to a random group of NPCs, and looking around, these are actually some of the more detailed ones because they're military.
Absolutely fucking fantastic. Look at them. You can immediately, from each of these, you can tell you've got a scientific one, you've got one that's slightly more ranking, you've got another scientific one because you walked into a group with two of the exact same. You can tell they're the same because they've got similar motifs crossing categories. One is still distinctly female than the other, but they still look like they're part of the... And that ties into another issue.
But I still don't think they're better designed. Like, you wouldn't pick any of those three to be a main character.
With a bit of work, so...
Yeah, with a
say,
bit
for
of
example,
work.
with a bit of work, and I'm not saying a lot of work, I'm talking minuscule work. For example, if we were going with the female design, if I was going to make her into a main cast, I'd probably emphasize these arm details, like she's got these like puffed sleeves on. I would probably really over-exaggerate them. I also studied design. I want to be a character designer. So this is coming from like a minuscule level of knowledge on this and what I would do if I was designing these. I would puff up these sleeves to give her a bit of a more distinct sign. Maybe heighten this bun a bit just to have a visual difference. Emphasize these goggles. And maybe even to tie the puff detail from her sleeves into her shoes a bit more, just to give it that more of like tying in details. Is what I would do. And that is minuscule details to make her look like a main character. Maybe add a couple more color variations. You would not need more than that. Like, your main character stood next to them, looks like she's going out on the night on the town, and she's supposed to outrank them. I'm going off of minimal knowledge of the game, okay? I don't know that much. I don't play the game. This is just going from a purely visual perspective.
No, it's fine. I mean, like I said, we all knew you were going to be wrong coming into this, right? So.
Well, glad you already made your mind up before this discussion even happened.
My mind is super open. I have no pre-established...
So open.
I have no agenda
here. You can
here.
agree with me then. There is minimal changes you'd have to do to this female stood next to you to make her a main character. Maybe emphasize.
Okay, for one, let me just stop you there, right? She's a woman, she's not a female. That's considered pretty cringe nowadays. You don't really say female. Makes you sound like an incel.
Woman who... I don't even know how to expand on that. You would need to do very minimal changes to it, which is probably... most of it would be cosmetic changes. Yeah.
No,
there are very few things you'd need to change to emphasize her from the... Okay?
Uh-huh.
Literally just crisping up some of those details. Adding in maybe like on your character, you can see this kind of flowy detail coming down like the front of your dress skirt situation. That's also underwear. If you have maybe that detail coming across her white part of her costume to visually move her away from the general NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
But again, very, very minimal stuff. You would not have to do a lot to look at her and go, oh, she's part of the sciencey people. She works on sciencey stuff, and she's a main character because she purposely stands out from the sciencey people. Still time.
You know, the more I look at her, I will, and I want to be very clear.
You're agreeing with me!
Specifically regarding that one NPC,
I feel like you could do about NPCs.
You could do about a 30% redesign, mainly
and she would
to
be
do
a main
with the
character.
Face, hair, and then adding some extra details to the outfit.
Just add in a little bit of puff to her. Like,
but you would not be able to get away with her with the exact same outfit. It would need to be changed to differentiate her from the NPCs.
Like you said, minusculely changed. There is minimal details, and most of that is just emphasizing.
Do you know what the funny thing is here? Is
what?
I actually agree with your point. Kind of.
Oh, he's agreeing with me, guys. He's agreeing with me. He's agreeing with me. I'm right. He's wrong. I'm right.
Specifically regarding the fact that there are some NPCs which could very easily become main characters, and I'm not just talking about characters in the story that we have met that take up a lot of screen time that are very clearly going to become playable later. My best example for this, can I go first person? I cannot. So I'm just going to have to try and send you a bit of a... Wait, can I? That's unfortunate. Okay, well, I'll just have to send you the whole screenshot then.
That's fine.
This guy here.
Hang on, I'm just waiting for it to come.
Mm-hmm.
That... But like I said, the males seem to have a lot more of the nice glow-up treatment than the females do in this game. That's a phenomenal design. I cannot fault that design. You get an impact that he's confident. You've got the silhouette that is like, he's got these big, large shoulders due to the padding on his coat. He's got a coat that shows that he is outranking other people. He's got this brilliant color design that's slightly muted than the other ones to show he probably does outrank them. Got these gold details which show a level of elegance to it, which again reinforce that level of I outrank you, I'm above you. And he looks like an older character. He looks experienced. That, I cannot fault it. It is good character design. If every single character had, like male, female, all of them, had this kind of, not a template, but had the level of detail he had, I would have no fault with this game. And I was trying to explain this to Ethan earlier. The aesthetics of this game, perfectly fine. I saw a lot of arguments where it's like, oh, all these characters look like they're from the same universe. They do, right?
I mean, the characters looking like they're from the same game is a good thing.
It's a great thing. You cannot fault that, right? You want a clear aesthetic design in a game, in any media, to be fair. But what you also need to work hand in hand with that clear aesthetic design, good character design that tells the audience things that dialogue may not. And I always bring up Arcane for this because it's just such a good example that is so easy to relate into this.
Arcane is like the pinnacle of everything.
This is why it's such... I'm not saying everything should reach for Arcane's level, but for really, really good examples, you cannot fault it because that simultaneously manages to have great aesthetic design. Everybody looks like they're from the same place. Everybody looks like, even for characters that are from like the Undercity versus like the Upper City, I can't remember.
Piltover.
My head. Piltover. Even still, even though they are distinctly, there's a big wealth gap between them, they still look like they're from the same region. Yet, when you go into each individual character, they are distinct enough to be able to tell you something about that character that language may not be able to tell you. The dialogue couldn't tell you. And so it is entirely possible to have a good aesthetic design and a good character design. You don't need to give up one for the other. And I feel like this is what this game is truly lacking in. Great aesthetic design. It's got this like sci-fi meets fantasy kind of thing going on, which I think is amazing. I think more people should do that. I think it's such like an underused type of aesthetic. But then they've got terrible character design going on inside it.
So, okay, that's what that does. So, let's go on to the third point here, which is
Just to clarify, you're saying I'm right about that design about the NPC?
I'm compromising. I'm saying I don't agree with.
Compromising.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Compromising.
I don't agree that the vast majority of NPCs could very easily be have superior character designs to the Resonators.
So you're saying,
but there are one or two. There's one standout, which is Yuan, the guy I just showed you, and I see where you're coming from with that specific female NPC. But the majority of NPCs, which obviously you won't see unless you play the game, do not have that level of quality to the design.
So you're telling me you logged into the game, walked up to a random group of NPCs that just happened to be the most perfect example of what I was trying to do?
Yeah, because I was trying to be as fair as possible.
What a coinky dink, mate. What a coinky dink.
Do you really want me to pull up the next group of NPCs that I walked past?
Well, I'm going to say the few that I walked past, which was a couple of groups. Don't get me wrong, there were ones that boiled down to tops and trousers.
That's
the
vast majority of them, yes. Also, I'd like to point out, one of those NPCs I just showed you does actually have a name.
Yeah, I can see the text box coming up there for the guy.
Oh, you can read? Fuck you now.
I can make out shapes, man.
I thought they stopped teaching women to read already. Moving on.
I'm going to say there are a lot of characters obviously in the background where they are just kind of copy and paste to get as many things in.
Uh-huh.
But there also was enough of them for me to take note to say, this character design on this NPC tells me more about this NPC than it does about the character I play. Which is a problem.
Here's one thing I will say. Specifically referring to the G word, right? To Genshin.
I don't know what I thought the G word was then, but I did not think it was. I was like, what the fuck is he about to be on about right now? Am I okay to swear, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically in regards to how the NPCs compared to Genshin, they look a lot better. There's a lot more variation.
Genshin falls into a massive box of just being like copy and paste.
Yeah.
But this is another level, another standout NPC that I saw that is definitely not becoming a played character in any way because she was a 60-year-old woman. But the fact I saw a 60-year-old woman's design who you're supposed to just run past and went, holy shit, that's a really good design. And just his shape language alone. She was in a cardigan. It was very, very cozy. She was wearing a long skirt. She had her hair tied back in a neat bun. And I was like, this tells me more about this being a caring grandma for 4 grandchildren and she makes them stew every night and cuddles them to bed than my character in a high heel boot and a slick back hair does right now. So
go on.
There is an issue there. And I'll compromise with you and say it doesn't apply to every NPC, but there is a vast majority for me to run around for a few minutes and go, hang on a minute.
All right, so we'll call that one a draw.
I'm calling it a win in my book.
That's perfectly fine.
I just needed you to half agree with me, and I'm like, yeah, I was right.
Give them an inch. Anyway.
Give them an inch and they walk a mile, mate.
Female designs are too homogenous and revealing. Please make your case.
Look at one male design and then look at the female counterpart of that, and the great example of that is the literal main character. I don't need to elaborate.
Really? You're gonna pull up male Rover and say that he has a better design than female Rover?
110% I am. I am going down because female Rover, which is who you're playing as in the screenshot.
Yeah.
Okay. Skinny ass boots. Tight, so tight that they're literally making an impact on her leg.
Hang on. If we're gonna go bit by bit, the male Rover's boots are also very tight with 15 different belts on. They're just shorter.
There is a level of it where, yes, you've got to look at this as fantasy, and that's where I look at it as fantasy, because there's still levels of practical. If he was running around fighting monsters in combat boots, even if they have hundreds of bells and whistles, we could argue there's a zip on there, and he doesn't have to do all those bells and whistles. This is female running around in tight leather boots that she's got to zip up the front, which let me tell you from personal experience, having zips on the front is awful. You bend your knee, it falls down. Bend your knee, falls down. She'd be running around every mid-fight being like, 1 minute, time out, and zipping them back up again, okay? We're going into the second part of the design, which is like, he's wearing trousers, which honestly look like utility trousers. They look practical. They are a practical design choice. Not to mention, he's wearing a jacket. They could give her the jacket. They could have that design crossover between the two characters and put her in a similar jacket. They can still make it distinctly female. They can change the silhouette of the sleeves. They can crop it. They can make it shorter. You can still mess around with it with the same type of style. She is literally running around in a mini dress so short, they had to animate underwear underneath.
So,
Either that or it's a swimsuit situation. Do I need to elaborate on it?
So, I have a bit of an interesting take on this, I think. Because I will actually just go ahead and agree with you that Male Rover's design is so much more practical. It's still very tactical, but...
It's still tactical. It tells you everything you need to know about
It's
that.
tactical, as in it's
Tactical,
tactical,
man.
That specifically...
It's practical and cool.
Tactical is a term that refers to gear that looks militaristic or, very... like it has a purpose, but actually when you break it down, it's very aesthetic and not very practical. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by tactical. I don't actually think it's a cool design. And that inherently is the problem with Male Rover, is that he just looks like Kirito.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's an issue across gaming that male characters have, where they get these really cool designs that have no practical whatsoever. Like, realistically, it doesn't make any sense. But if we're looking at it from a realistic perspective, which I'm going to assume we're not, but if we were, then in what universe does running around in leather boots with no fucking, trousers on where your legs are chafing together every 5 minutes? Practical. And no bra on. You would not see any single one of these females running around without sports bra on. They have bounce animation, people. They have bounce animation. They're feeling it.
Yeah. I will,
So we
again,
can't
not going to
look
argue
at
with
it.
you on that.
We can't look at it from a practical perspective because it isn't a practical design. We have to look at what the game is telling us is practical. And if we're just going off the NPCs' practical outfitting as an example of that, their ones are still distinctly feminine and male without it being impractical. If we're just looking at the game world's practicality, not looking at the real world.
So
where you look at the female designs and there is nothing practical. There is not an ounce of being like, this makes loads of sense. Maybe for like a sage type of character whose job isn't really to run into the heat of battle, then I can kind of give it to you there.
So I will say,
but at the same time, they are running into battle.
Female Rover is wearing elbow pads. She's more
thank
responsible
God
than
for
I
the
was.
elbow pads. If it wasn't for the elbow pads, God knows what she's doing with that.
Exactly, right. So clearly they did
She's
put
wearing
some
a
thought.
corset.
They clearly did think about the practicality of her design because they gave her elbow pads. But no, on a serious
God for
level,
that.
on a
If
serious
they hadn't
level,
given
what I
her
was
that.
trying to say earlier is Male Rover, I think, has a more cohesive design that, in theory, I like better. The problem
It is an objectively better one.
The problem is, I could not pick him out of a lineup of other gacha game NPCs. I could pick
Absolutely, I
out
agree with
Female
you there.
Rover. Female Rover's
Yeah.
design, I don't like it from a in-world point of view. However, she is fucking gorgeous.
She is gorgeous.
As a design, outfit included, and that's the problem.
Yeah, if we were just doing a drawing and there was no practical sense to it, I would still have some gripes with it if she's supposed to be a character wearing a whole no support.
Make sure you say, again, reminder, close to the mic,
yeah.
you're cutting out.
Microphone. I'm saying, she's wearing a halter top. It makes no sense.
So, I actually have a couple of
design...
key points that I want to talk about with Female Rover's design that I do not like. If you
Well,
allow
I'll
me.
just build. Yeah, let me just say this, and then you can say that.
Okay.
But this is what you're saying there. The design is pretty, but it's not practical. This is where I'm talking about aesthetic design versus character design. Aesthetically, gorgeous. She's got a really crisp color palette. She's got really nice details that add visual language to it. The character design makes no fucking sense. It doesn't make sense for the character to wear it. So it depends on where you want to look at this as aesthetic. And again, I will agree with you, aesthetically, gorgeous. Character design, it falls short majorly, especially when you have the male counterpart to compare it to go, this is what it could have been like. You can still have those feminine details, but working those practicality aspects that the male design has in that universe.
So here's my list of issues with female Rover, right? And we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Starting with her boots.
Oh god, yeah.
I get what they're going for with the
front
thigh
zipper.
highs and the boots. It's a good combination. However,
It looks nice. Don't
That
get me wrong,
short-
aesthetically, it looks nice.
that short zipper at the front is fucking useless.
It's literally it's
I don't have
undoing
boots.
in game.
Yeah,
It's not done up in game.
I don't have boots that big, obviously, but I do have boots with zips. And the purpose of the zips is to make the boots easier to get in and out of. And
Oh,
where
I'm
is it-
telling you, she's struggling every morning.
And where
I
is
have
the
had boots that big.
and where does it make the biggest difference? At the ankles, where you have
Yes.
to contort your foot.
But to get
So
in,
those zips are fucking useless.
they're completely fucking useless. I will say, I have had boots like this. The only thing that may save that is if the boot zipped all the way down. If the boot doesn't zip all the way down, again,
Right. Yeah,
completely fucking
again, useless. Right.
Right? But I have boots like that. And I can tell you now. For starters, you need to put tape on the inside of them to stick them to your leg. Otherwise, gravity will do what gravity does and pull them down every 5 seconds. So you're walking around and you're like, 1 second, gotta pull my boot up. Right?
Yep.
Super, super duper. And you could argue like, yeah, but it's leather. And trust me, I have seen leather versions. I have worn leather versions. It doesn't work. Okay, it just gravity and those boots aren't friends. Great for photos. Great for making your leg look long and making them be like, ooh, look how sexy it looks. It's great. And don't get me wrong, I love the aesthetic of those boots. They are so impractical though. Even in the real world, they're so impractical.
I will say, I don't even think the boots look that good. They're very bland.
They don't. If you would have had nearly the same impact of those boots as if she'd just had tights, and don't even get me fucking on the Jesus Christ, the tights are just as useless, dude. Tights are. If we're looking at this practically, probably wearing those tight socks things because those boots do chafe. If you've got them on your bare leg, they will rub, they will sore. It is uncomfortable, especially on the back of your leg. And I'm looking at her character design here on my other screen. And she has got wrinkles on the back of her knees where she's been bending. So practicality of it, you would wear socks underneath them. Those socks? No. Even in the cosplay community, if you have to wear socks like that, you sew them in to tights that come up to your waist. So they will stay up in the correct positioning. Gravity
I will say,
and that type of cut just doesn't work.
The only reason why they have chosen this tights design is so that they can show off her thighs.
Yeah, it's
Because
literally just to make her
those
thighs
are some
bigger.
glorious thighs, and I will say it's nice to finally have a Eastern
Thick
developer. No, specifically an Eastern developer that doesn't make characters that are built like AirPods.
100%. In fact, you can literally see like where the fat on her leg. Not I'm saying her fat, but everybody has fat on their leg, guys.
Yeah.
And this happens if you're wearing these type of socks because of how tight they are to stay up.
You can
You've
see
got
where it
this
sort of
bit of
spills
overhang.
over.
Yeah, where it kind of squishes in a little bit to stay up and it overhang. That is great. That is like, I wouldn't know what to call that, if it's character design or if it's animation or what. But it's great and it's nice to see.
I know it's probably hard for you to see because I don't know exactly what you're looking at. But me looking in-game here as well, the strap that she has to have that bag on her thigh. You can see where it pushes into her skin on the inside of her thigh.
That, so the game company is completely capable of good detailed designs, and that is evident. That is evidence of it, right? But also, that little strap thing is a garter. She is wearing a garter. And I don't know if you know the historical impact of a garter, but a garter's job is literally to hold up salt. That is what they were originally for. And then over time, as the war happened and pinup happened, seeing somebody's garter became sexual. It was a sexual innuendo, basically. It was she's not wearing tights, you can see her garter, right? There is a very specific reason why they've put that garter on that character, and it is to sexualize her. They didn't have to
they
do
know
it.
What they're doing. Yeah.
They've shown that the satchel can go on her waist because her male counterpart is wearing the satchel on his waist.
To be fair, she also does have also has a satchel, but it's on her midriff.
So they are capable of putting it up there with it.
Yeah, she just has 2.
She has 2, and one is completely impractical. And not to mention again, unless she's got something on her waist holding that up, it's 4 then.
If you have ever worn, she doesn't for a start, but you
so
if you've
it's
ever
just
worn
not working gravity.
If you've ever worn cargos, you know it's actually super handy to have a pouch exactly there
Yeah,
because it ends up
pouch
right
there.
where your hand rests.
Yeah,
However, there's
agree.
nothing holding it up.
There is nothing. She puts anything that is slightly heavier in there. That thing is empty, I can almost guarantee it. Not to mention the gravities of that, I just don't think are working due to where it's sewn on to the garter, where it's so low, the top of it will just flop over. It'll slide down with her boots. It is all coming down together. So it is purely impractical design.
Moving upwards even further, her
shirt / dress /
no, not even
underwear.
that. Not even that far. Just the shorts. Can you call those shorts?
No, they're underwear, mate. There is no chance those are underwear. They are not hiding anything.
The only other character design that I can think of off the top of my head, Soul Calibur 6 characters. I can't remember her name. Bear with, it's another Chinese name beginning with X, so I'm getting it confused with the pronunciation of Sanhua.
Sorry, I just hit.
What is her name again? Wait, does she have them?
Soul Calibur is also a game that is not exactly known for having the forgiving female designs. No, don't get me wrong. Again, there are really good ones that make you go, okay, that's I remember I used to main the Jester character who runs around with a giant spiked hula hoop, and she had a pretty good character design.
Tira.
She had a phenomenal one.
Yeah, Tira's one of the
She was
better
also
designed
broken
characters.
as fuck because you could get people stuck in infinite loops until they fell off the edge of the map.
Okay, I knew there was one time I had seen this design before. I'll send you the image now.
Yeah.
But Xianghua from Soul Calibur. Those are the
longer.
They're longer, but those are the closest that I can think of. And I think that's her Soul Calibur 4 design, which is...
It's a very beautiful design, don't get me wrong, aesthetically speaking.
It's I get where it's coming from, right? But even
there is
then...
Even more than she's got, she literally got a bit of her ass crack hanging out.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, so if that doesn't say everything, I don't know. Oh.
So I just... Yeah, I don't like that. Again, I completely understand why they've done it. But I'm just thinking, if I was in her shoes and I'm running around even a temperate climate and all I've got on is my Speedos,
that is the male equivalent to this,
right?
Is Speedos. Would you want to be running around in Speedos? Because trust me, those things
Speedos,
will ride up.
Speedos and thigh highs and then a flowy crop top, essentially. I know it's not actually what she's wearing, but it's a bit longer than crop top. Okay, so a mini dress kind of thing. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Right, when I first looked at it, I thought it was a dress that was so short, showing her under. And now I'm looking at it, and I honestly cannot tell. I can't tell.
What it is, as far as I can tell, is it's so underneath the grey part is a halter top with like basically an extended halter top that splits at the side.
Yeah.
And is very loose at the bottom, like it's cut at the bottom. Then
Yeah,
over the top
I
of
think
that,
it's 2 pieces.
yeah, and then over the top of that is the black top.
Yeah.
That's like a mini, very, very, very mini. I think Cheongsam is the dress I'm thinking of.
I think you might be right with like the panel coming down the front.
Hang on. Yeah, is this the? Hang on. That's not exactly what I'm. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, but it's like a very mini version of one of these.
Maybe try a Audai from Vietnam. Audai, it's got a very similar kind of pattern down the front.
Definitely not an Audai.
No?
They're too. No, it's.
I was gonna say because they have trousers that come under them.
The Audai is too closed. Like it's what like Chun-Li wears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's a very, 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 very mini version of what Chun-Li wears.
But so skimpy, at any point, one of those tits are falling out.
Have you seen the official cosplayer for Female Rover?
No. Wait, no, please show me. Please show me.
Let me go to the official Wuthering Waves page.
While you're looking at that, I am going to say there is one bit of a design that I do really like, and that is the elbow pads and the wrist guards she's got, because she's a sword user. She's going to want wrist guards and hand guards on that to stop blistering. But she's also got like this type of what I would call a gun holster type situation. Similar to what you'd see like Jill Valentine hold her gun. But obviously it's designed to hold her sword. Not that she ever holds her sword. But there was a level of thought that went behind that, and I will give them some level of like props to that, and especially they've got the 3 color palette with the gold, the black, and the grey. And although I think they could have really tied this gold detail in a lot nicer instead of having story and some little details, I think there is like I said, this game has so much potential. So much potential. There are like bases for good character design. The team knew what they were doing, and I'm almost positive there was a manager or a higher up that said we need to make sure there is somebody playing this game to make them do what they did, because they knew what they were doing. We know what they were doing. Everybody knows what they were doing. Okay.
I'm trying to find the specific image that made me go, what the fuck?
I will also say the character designs are incredibly detailed. See in the official images on the wiki that on the back of her boots she does have like this padded design kind of on the back of her boots. I would not know why that would be there, but it's cool that they did that in.
Here,
and the fact there is like designs on the lace and stuff on her costuming.
This is the official Wuthering Waves Rover cosplayer.
Okay, her tit is literally hanging out.
Apparently she made the cosplay herself.
It's a really nice cosplay. She's obviously kept it very like detailed to the source material.
Yeah.
So she knew what she was doing.
Like it's very well made.
And this is like nothing against her. She is a very pretty woman.
And
There's absolutely nothing against her, but she knew what she was doing.
Yes. I will say she is very clearly
better
endowed or more well endowed than the actual female rover. She's probably, I think in the way the cup sizes work, her number is probably bigger. I don't think she's got a bigger cup size by much, but her number is bigger.
I think so, yeah. From what I'm looking at with this, looking at it from a pattern cutting perspective, it does actually look like from the other side of the halter that it does actually fit her right, and she may have just pulled her boobette slightly for the photo. Which, I mean,
I will say from the front
female
shots,
cosplay, there is a thing behind doing that
Yeah.
because it does get you more attention, and that's like that is nothing against her. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm fine with it. So part of me does think she may have pulled it out just a little bit to have a bit of hangover.
It's like that in all the
because the other one seems to fit perfectly. Oh, is
it's
it?
Like on both sides.
Oh, it is like it on both sides.
It
It must
is
be
like
the
it on
angle
both
of this
sides.
photo. If it's
Yeah.
that on both sides, then see, there is a major level of impracticality to it. Like,
I've just
you just wouldn't
yeah.
in real life. She's
Um,
very pretty though. Jeez Louise, her makeup is gorgeous.
I think it's wild how thin her arms are.
She's got these massive tits and like these tiny arms.
Yeah, like her arms don't look like her arms and face are tiny, and then the rest of her body is like. Oof.
I will say everybody
would-
puts on weight differently, and
Yeah.
there is a whole body type where you don't put weight on your arms till much later on after gaining weight. Where you put weight more on your chest and your stomach and your hips. Especially with females, it's more like you tend to put weight on more on your chest and your hips because childbirth.
Yeah.
That is science.
Uh-huh.
There is a science behind that. So it could just be that. But otherwise, she's a very pretty lady. She's a very pretty lady. But it just shows the level of impracticality to it.
So
I feel like if she wasn't the official cosplayer, and she was just a general cosplayer, there would be a lot more creative liberty she'd probably take with that, unless like she is doing it for the fan service because it gets him. At which point I'd say yes, hustle, hustle queen, hustle. But otherwise, I'd say potentially you'd probably end up putting a bit more fabric on the cups just to hold you in a bit more. But there's just no practicality to it. I can guarantee it's not comfortable running around in a costume like that. It's probably cold as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, girl, how are you not freezing? That's like at dusk in the middle of a desert.
So
And I just think cold.
Just to wrap this up here, potentially wrap this up, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of different character designs that you may not have seen yet.
Yeah, sure.
So, it's such low quality. Hang on, I'm trying to find a full body shot that's good quality.
It would have been great to do this after they had released like a book where we had all the concept images.
Okay, his head proportion is a bit weird in this compared to in-game, but I'm more curious on your thoughts about the overall design. This is a character called Scar that a lot of people are going feral over on
I
on the
honestly
internet.
can see why. And again, I'll emphasize this point in saying male characters seem to have attention put onto them that females do, just in the general aspect of the design. But you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the general feeling I'm getting off this guy is he's science, he's very cocky, he's got a very bold personality, judging by the red colour.
Here's a couple close-ups of his face.
Jesus fuck, I can see why the internet is going feral over this man.
I will say,
he's cocky, he's potentially evil as well.
he is evil crazy. He is chaotic evil.
You get that feeling from his character design. And again, it's tricky as well because if we had like an idol image, which would be great to analyze it properly, we've also go off the stance. He looks cocky. He's wearing these really bold colors in a very sharp design that you really don't see anywhere else, and it makes your eye draw go, ooh fuck, that's somebody I've got to watch out for. And he's got this big spiky hair, which like everybody knows spiky hair means
bad
the
boy.
anime we're talking about, bad boy spiky hair.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the scars coming across his face. He's seen shit before. He's seen some stuff. And he's got, again, I can't fault this. This is really good.
So
the colours are really nice. It's very complimentary. I really don't have a major issue with the male character design. Obviously, they fall into the fan trope of, oh, male guy, cool, sexy, yeah.
What about the
And
crotch
I know that's
zipper?
a whole different kettle of worms.
Pardon?
What about the crotch zipper?
I just looked at that and I was like, what? What is the situation happening? Because I feel like there is a real danger to get stuff trapped in there. And I can imagine that's not comfortable.
So here's the funny thing, right? And I find this hilarious, is a lot of people look at that as sexualizing him, right?
I mean, it does immediately draw your eye to it.
However, ironically, in a twist of fate, that is probably one of the most practical character design elements I've seen on any character.
Looking at the amount of layers he's got going on up top there, if you've got a suit, imagine you're busting to go to toilet and you're like,
right?
Oh, fuck, I'm wearing a bodysuit. Let me just take off my 4 jackets, unzip, get my arms out. Like,
I have seen women's bodysuits. They do the same thing, but with buttons.
Yeah,
where the bottom of it just
is
unbuttons.
A real life thing where it's like you just, and like I have seen people who work on like ship, who like go boating and stuff. Less they work on them, and it's more for like traveling and stuff like that, and like enjoyment. There are products out there that have zips that undo this. You can just pop a squat over the side of the boat and go to toilet. Like that is a real life thing. I'll agree, it's weird. Like it doesn't need to be there, but also it is pretty practical. Like I imagine if you're in an situation, you're probably thanking God that it's there. You're like, oh my God, spending 20 minutes to take all these buttons and bows off my shit right now. This is so much more practical than having to undo this and take off this breastplate and then take off the other bit just to get down there. I mean, if they wanted to make it a bit less sexual, they probably just could have made it 2 pieces and added like a fly and a button.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe didn't need it to go all the way down. But then again, number 2s, mate. So depends on how desperate the situation is, I guess.
Right.
So I kind of get it. I think it's pretty practical. I think the random zippers bottom, like on his legs, is that for ventilation? Is it to take it off and turn it into shorts, like a camping trousers type situation? Or is it purely aesthetics? Who knows? But I don't hate it. But why is there so many belts?
Is this... Okay.
He got belts around his neck. He got belts flying over there. I'm looking at this one close and I'm like, what's up with all the belts?
Don't you know belts is how you make a character cool?
Yeah, the more belts equal more cool.
Yeah.
Not
and the way I saw it,
cool.
The way I saw it as well, someone made a tweet that was like, if they have lots of belts, they're straight. If they have a lot of zippers, they're gay.
Oh god, this guy is the pinnacle of boy then. He's got spiky hair, he's got both ears pierced, he's got belts, he's got zippers, he's got the...
A new fighter has entered the chat. So yeah. Your final thoughts on Scar, final rating out of 10.
Out of 10, I'd say this is a solid 8. Obviously there's aspects to it that kind of fall into the same sort of very anime tropey general character design, because I know there is a massive say, oh, male character design is super fetishy as well, and there is an argument to be had with it. But overall, this tells you enough about the character for him to be like, yes, I know everything I need to know about this character looking at him. And I'm assuming the red color palette probably complements the type of like villain league that he's in.
Yeah, so all of the I think they're called the Facetus or something like that. They do all have that sort of red and white. I mean, there's a lot of red and white in the game, but yeah, he does share similar visual design with his number 2, which is not the next character I'm showing you, but we may come back to her. So this new character is someone who has not been confirmed whether they'll be playable or not, but a lot of people are going nuts about her.
I will say aesthetically gorgeous. I love the ribbons and the roses motif. I love the burn effect. I'm assuming she's got some level of fire ability. Otherwise, that burn effect, why would you add it if she's not fire user?
So it's we don't know. That is the truth. All we know is she can control plants to some extent.
Oh god, I really hope she's a fire user now. Just okay. Going off of what the impact is saying to me, she's obviously some level of plant user. Maybe either has a history of fire, like she has a thing about deforestation using fire. But there's obviously something because she's got this charred effect on her skirt, and you wouldn't add that in if it was irrelevant. And if they did add it in and it's irrelevant, then it proves my point. this kind of ripped up tear design, although ends up making it like obviously at one point this was not swimsuit skimpy. Why is her belly button out? Impractical as fuck, but never mind. It was obviously at some point it wasn't as skimpy as it was, and I think this tiered effect is really nice. But we're falling back into the same category. Tiny top, tiny skirt. Even with like the what seems like one trouser showing.
She's, I think, it's a bit hard to see from this angle, because she's definitely bottom heavy as a design.
Yes. And she's still got this nice like shoulder detail going on here with like, obviously she's some sort of warrior. She's got like, I mean, I would say there's protection on her arm, but looking at it closely, which is really impractical and itchy. The hair is really nice. Like I said before, there is a lot of potential. And this is a great example of the potential they have. Loads of potential. I really hope that they look at that and there is a reason why all her clothes are torn off. If there's not a reason, like I said, that proves my point about it just falling into the category of skimpy top, skimpy skirt. But she's also got this really nice, I can never remember the word, what's it called when they've got like a parallel type of design, where one side is different.
Oh, asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical.
Yeah.
She's got this quite asymmetrical design, like in her hair, she's got one side with flowers. Obviously on her legs here, you've got one side that has like ribbons.
So.
Which is really nice, again with the bow as well in the front.
Yeah.
I think they could have built on that a lot more, but...
So just quickly here, right? Obviously, her design is very appealing. Like, when we just head empty...
Aesthetically,
from an upfront point of view, no thoughts, appealing design. However, that's not the reason why the internet has been going crazy over her.
Yeah, they're going crazy over her.
Let me show you why they're going crazy over her. This is how you meet her.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ almighty. God. I don't think there's an image that proves my point more than this right now of why these costuming are bad. You can't argue with that. There is no arguing for why it is bad. They have her obviously in a very compromising position there.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's not exactly
covered up.
I don't know if you can make it out there, but the main character is being held from finishing the job by a plant. A plant is holding their arm.
And obviously they had to use the female for that. I mean,
it's the same situation.
In that type of position.
If you're male rover, you get put in this exact same position. It's just the majority of people who took the screenshot. Well, you know.
You just can't argue with that, man. You just can't argue with that. Also, I'm gonna say I would personally say, judging by what you said about the villain characters, seem to have a more black, white, and red design.
She's not a villain.
And if she's not a villain, why would they give her that color palette? That makes no sense.
I say she is not a villain. Technically speaking, we don't know.
Is she like an on the? Well,
she's like a third party. It could go either way.
But again, it comes into like bad character choices. Like
this.
I get why they've picked those colors. It is aesthetically very, very, very pretty.
This is the female equivalent of Scar. We don't even have a name for her yet. But this is the female.
And this is the female equivalent. Which Scar again? This guy.
Yeah, the crazy looking dude.
Okay, like again, pretty. Very. I love this like spider lily effect they've got going on. And honestly, out of all the female designs I've seen, this is one of the better ones. I mean, she's pretty covered up. I can't see what her bottom half looks like if she falls.
No, she's pretty covered.
They are perfectly capable of doing it then.
Wait, actually, we do. Yeah. The wiki does have a name for her. Hang on, let me see if I can pull up some more images.
She's got this really nice detail here of she's got this earring that is very similar. I'm not saying it's exactly similar. Very similar to Scar's earring. They're obviously a little bit different characters, but just having that teensy tiny bit of similarity shows that they're interconnected, and obviously the color palettes do that as well. I think it's a very complementary color palette. I don't love the fact the hair is blue, but I mean, it's a nice breakup from this red and white design. I mean, if they'd just given her white hair, I think it would be quite boring to look at. But overall, she looks like a menace of a character. Like, she shows up just when you're about to do shit, and then she fucks it over. She's got this like broken up metal design on her stomach piece there that is really nice. Fragment. Tying in the rest of the gold. Again. They are capable. They are perfectly fucking capable. This is what pisses me off about this game. They are perfectly capable of doing phenomenal designs.
From the beta, so it's not exactly one-to-one with how she looks in-game currently.
I hope they haven't changed it
but
too
that's
much.
her. Better look at like the bottom half of her outfit.
We're not falling into the tiny skirt, tiny top situation. This is great. I want to see. She looks like a badass. She's dressed aesthetically and she's dressed practically. If she was doing somersaults and backflips, she's got shit covering her up.
Mm-hmm.
She's got trousers on underneath. She's probably wearing high heels, but at this point, I think we're gonna be here all day if we start arguing high heels.
Now,
and it still slides in with the flowiness of the game. Everybody seems to have this flowy effect, and she does as well, and it works. It works so well. And this is a good design. I will give this I'd probably give this maybe an 8 and 9, especially compared to the playable character. We're comparing and Yang Yang being at the bottom of the list there. She's nowhere near Yang Yang. Yang Yang is a bad design. That tells you nothing about her. This is a great design. She's very up her own arse. She looks very regal and royal. And I think that compliments her. I really hope her personality matches that. Otherwise, it's terrible. Personality matches that. Why? But it looks great.
I'm just having a quick look here to see if... Oh wait, are these cutscenes? Oh no, these are in-game files. Interesting. Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm looking specifically to see, and I don't think there is, which is a bit of a shame. And if anyone knows if I'm missing it, then let me know. But if it's not in the game, they just need to fix it. I don't think there's actually a way to just see a list of all the characters in game currently. Can I filter by... No, I can't even filter by owned or not owned. It's a little bit annoying.
I know a lot of gacha games. I'm not very familiar with the gacha genre in general. Not really my cup of tea. And I know from what I have seen, usually they have some sort of like show-off list where it can show you all the characters you have. Or the
yeah, I mean, they've got a list to show off all the characters you have already, but not the ones you don't. But
maybe they're trying to keep it a surprise for when you get it. Maybe it's a purpose. If not, it seems a bit redundant because obviously a big part of gacha games is to get the hot characters. Even I fall into that trap. I am not, dude, there was a good percentage of my life where I refused to play as male characters because I wanted to be the hot ladies who had the better outfit. Trust me, I would just scroll through that page and be like, look at all the pretty ladies.
So here's I have 3 final things to touch on. And I am just going to touch on these. I don't really want to talk about it too much because otherwise this video is going to be 5 hours long. But there are 3 issues that I have with a lot of gacha games, or a lot of Eastern media in general. But so I'm going to specifically relate this to Wuthering Waves. I have 3 main issues. The first is that you get a good variety, or what feels like a good variety of ages for male characters.
Yes.
playable male characters. With female characters, you get
mid-20s
lollies
or younger.
Yeah, you get lollies, and then you get like
mid-20s.
like if you look at a woman like Baija, for example, right? Baija looks, if I had to guess, I would say late 20s at the oldest.
Yeah.
Right? And then someone like Yang Yang or Chisia look young 20s, late teens. But
again, there isn't much variety between that. You could honestly chalk a lot of that up to just facial expression.
Whereas if you look at Calcharo, Yan Wu, Ling Yang, who is not on my screen right now, Alto, Mortifi, they look between the ages of 21 and 50. And like a good sliding scale as well. So, and it's very easy. You can have attractive, badass, older women designs.
I want to run around as a 60-year-old woman who looks like a MILF.
What's the thing? They don't even have to be 70. Just like
54, man. I can settle for a good 54.
Late 30s, early 40s.
That sounded 50s. So bad.
Alright, we know who your type is. But like,
I meant from a gameplay perspective, it would not affect me that badly. Oh god, I'm digging myself into a deeper hole here, man. That's wrong.
Do you need an extra shovel, or are you good?
I think I've made this deep enough hole on my own.
Alright, moving swiftly on. Oh my god, the sun is like really trying something today, huh?
Well, I will say that particular issue is an issue across gaming mediums. And I will say, for an example of a game that rectified that issue very nicely was Overwatch. And I know that...
Yes, Ana.
It's controversial, right? But that game started off... Like, yeah, I know she's supposed to be, like, in her 40s. That woman looks like she's 25. Don't lie to me.
Which one now?
Mercy. She's apparently,
Mercy's a lot older. Mercy's, like, 60 or 70, but she looks in it like she's in her 40s. And in Overwatch 2, she looks older as well.
Well, I'm glad they're aging them up. Like, that is... When that game came out, it had a lot... Especially in the female gaming community, it had a lot of criticism. Having a really wide age range of male characters and having a really minuscule one. But they've rectified it.
Here is...
And because it is possible to rectify... You can get cool characters, good characters, and make them older or make them cooler. So, I still don't think she looks her age. She looks older, but not.
So she's in specifically, she is like 60 or 70, but she uses anti-aging technology that she made herself. And she's offered it to Ana, and Ana has refused it. But she sort of has obviously come off it a little bit in Overwatch 2 compared to Overwatch 1, which I'm sending you right now. Right?
Yeah.
There's a night and day
But
difference.
I also think that's to do with the character design. Obviously, they've dropped the halo a bit, and they've dropped her hair a bit. Overall, like, softened it.
But she's her hair as well has changed a lot. Like, her hair makes her look a lot older.
The power of a good character. That's all I'm going to say to that, because there isn't, cosmetically, there isn't a lot to it. Just the impact of toning down her, lowering the contrast, bringing down that hair poof just a bit, taking away her bun and giving her a cut. It emphasizes her age so much more in a good way. And I know Riot basically made a way to be like, none of our females can age. It's an anti-aging potion, so we can keep them young and cute forever. That is what they did there. But it's fine. It's contextual to the game, and I'm okay with it because there were enough characters for it to be... look at Moira. She's somebody who's actively corrupting herself.
Yeah.
And she looks like it. She is actively aging across the games in not a healthy way. And that is good character design.
Yeah, Moira's a brilliant example of a female character that breaks the mold. Clearly is like 40s or 50s. Like, looks it. She's got a narrow face. Like, she's...
got a narrow face. She is not conventionally attractive. She does not have tits.
And yet, loads of people play her.
I love Moira. Moira was one of my mains.
But she's also really fun to play.
Like,
well, she was in Overwatch 1.
And I know, obviously, Overwatch was quite controversial now, but looking at it from purely that perspective, it is a good example of where I keep thinking it's Wuthering Heights,
Wuthering Waves.
Wuthering Winds or whatever.
Is Wuthering Heights a book series?
Yeah, and I don't know why I hear Wuthering and I'm like, Wuthering Heights. It shows there is ways to expand on what they've done. What they've done is not necessarily bad. It's not good, it's not bad. It's just like pure middle of the road. I can't say it's the best I've seen. I can say Yang Yang is absolutely god worst I've seen. But there is so much room for potential. They have proven over and over and over again with their background characters, their villain characters. Characters they haven't even released yet, they have proven they're completely and utterly amazingly capable of doing phenomenal designs. Ones that are exponentially better than the G-Word. This is controversial, and I will say the starting cast of the G-Word was better than what we've got in Wuthering Winds. Purely on an aesthetic and from a character design perspective. Like every other way, like obviously this is better. Wuthering Heights is better. If we're just looking at art direction, say for Amber versus Yang Yang, and I know that probably isn't a fair comparison, but Yang Yang's just living in my brain rent-free right now.
I will say...
You get so much more from Amber's character design than you do from Yang Yang.
I think Amber's character design is incredibly bland. I would rather have a bad design than a bland design.
I will say it's bland, especially when you start comparing it to other Genshin characters, but you get enough from it to know, you know from her goggles, you get the impact. She's an adventurer, she travels around, she's a bit playful because she's got that bunny motif in her hair. Playful. She's with these very bright, vibrant colours, so she's clearly somebody of interest. You get just that, it's just enough. All you need. Be like, okay, this is something they can build off of. With Yang Yang, for example, she had a beret and that was it. And that was the only reason I clocked that the beret was potentially some sort of militaristic background feature was because another character who was very, very clearly part of the military had a similar motif. Other than that, I would have looked at Yang Yang's design and be like, got no clue what she's trying to tell me in there. Not saying that Genshin is good. Genshin is not great. It's not bad. It's not great. It is very much middle of the road. This is what you can do with what you've got.
And actually, funny you bring up Genshin because it does move on to my next point. My second issue I have with Wuthering Waves currently, from a character design perspective. In Genshin, they have, I think, 3 set body types for female characters. Like in-game engine limitation, they only have 3 types, which is lolly, flat-chested female, and busty female. I think there's literally the 3 body types they've got. In Wuthering Waves, all of the bodies are individually molded for both genders. Now,
and that's great, but then so far we have one curvy character.
That was going to be my point. My problem is
we only have one.
Well, actually, I was going to go in the opposite direction as well. Tauchi is our only heavier set character. And it's cool that it's a woman and not a guy, because normally you'd expect it to be the guy because it can be played up for laughs. But it's cool to see that
make him huge.
Or just like someone like Gragas from League of Legends, right? Where
or Torbjorn or something like that.
The joke. Yeah. But most of the female characters in this game have nice thick thighs. No smaller than D cups. And from what we can kind of see, they've got hips. At the very least, they've got hips because you can't really see much.
They're not stick figures. I will 110% give them
that. They have organs. They have organs.
They have organs. They have cellulite. They have fat, and that is perfectly fine.
The smallest, to my knowledge, the smallest character that isn't a lolly is Chisia. Right? Hang on. Let me just send what I'm looking at to you. Right? I think she is the smallest character. And she's...
Yeah.
like I don't know. The outfit makes it a bit hard to tell, but I feel like she's
Yeah,
still
because it also looks like she's
above
binding her
average.
chest, yeah.
Yeah,
Binding it.
This is the thing. For anime standards, she is small. And by anime standards, female rover is medium. But when we actually think
room
about
to grow there.
Yeah, but when we actually think, and obviously like Tao Chi would be big, but Tao Chi's design is not a problem because the rest of her fits. Like the rest of her is scaled up as well. But with like female rover, she would be considered like gifted in the real world. Like, gifted.
I think most of these characters are considered gifted.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to get at here is that we don't have any slender women in the game.
No, I get you there, and I think on both ends for male, female characters, there is so much room for them to explore body types and textures, builds, and I mean, Overwatch is a fantastic example. Cannot their inclusivity when it comes to body.
Do you know what the good news is as well? Actually, sorry, just to cut you off. The good news in regards to the female character design in Wuthering Waves is that there are at least 3 examples of currently unplayable women in this game that do take advantage of the ability to have a differently shaped body. However, only one of them that we know of is confirmed to be playable, and that's Jinshi, who is coming out in the first patch for the game in about probably 9 weeks. 6 weeks. But she's actually the character I'm most looking forward to. And she plays a big role in the story. You know, all these positives. But so far, she's the only female character that we know of. Because the character that's coming after her, Chong Li, is built like Tao Chi. So, or at least similar. I don't think she's going to be quite as big, but she's... So, yeah. But this is the character that I'm talking about. It's coming in 1.1, Jinshi, who I am saving for. I want her real bad.
Yeah, she looks...
I can't find a front shot of her. This is really annoying.
That like I've said,
the best we're gonna get.
There is so much potential for them.
Yeah.
So much. They have proven they have the skills. And my brother was showing me another game that they designed.
Oh,
and I looked at the designs
Punishing Grey Raven.
Phenomenal designs. I looked at all of them, and don't get me wrong, they still kind of fall into the category of same body type, nearly everybody. But the character designs are so interesting that it was okay. I could see past it and go, well, do you know what? Even with these flaws, I still consider this. But at the minute, the flaws are outweighing. And I think if they continue down the road they're on now, where they keep improving and they keep releasing, they keep getting better and better and better and better, it'll go up. Is like my opinion of it will go up. That's a fact. I cannot, like, even this on its own, just what I'm looking at, is interesting, is more interesting visually. We've got it. And I do think they've seriously got to get out of the box of tiny top, tiny skirt and start experimenting with silhouette and styles a lot more, because they seem to be, they've kind of trapped themselves in that little box at the minute. If they can get out of that box and start really experimenting with what they do, because they've got amazing physics. Oh, the physics in this game is
I will say,
Yang Yang's bow moves when she runs, and I saw that and I was like, there was no need to do that, and they did it anyway, and it's phenomenal.
There is a minor issue with the physics that people have noticed. Now, I don't know whether this is true from a technical perspective, but at least visually. If you get... Let's see if I can find one. Yeah, if you get a female character to stand still, their
assets,
their boob physics appear to be tied to their hair physics, Which means if the
No.
character stands slightly still in the wind, and I've got a really good example on screen right now for the audience
Oh
at
my
home.
god, that's so
But whenever
funny.
their hair moves, their boobs seem to move just as much. It's a very
Their
quick
boobs are
and
just made of
easy
air.
way. It's a very quick and easy way to double up on, because physics are hard. Physics are really hard to
Like,
accurately
you have
portray in
to
a game, and it's a good way to
you have
save
to animate
time.
everything.
Yeah, it's a good way to save time. However, where it really falls apart is when the character
when
is
you-
just stood still.
And her boobs are flying with the wind.
Yeah.
I will say that's an issue they should probably rectify. Maybe having like the boob animation connected to something else. Don't think that's as bad as Genshin fucking package animation, which I don't know if you've seen.
Like,
One of the characters.
I haven't.
I don't know how to say this, but like they have bulge animation.
Oh.
One of the male characters, you moving hard enough, you can catch a glimpse of his bulge moving. And I'm assuming where this issue comes into place is it's a shadow issue. From what I've seen from the videos, but it always. But obviously it's not good. Don't put that in your game. It's weird. It's so weird. Please don't. It's bad. It's weird.
Okay, so this has been a very, very productive chat, and I
I will say some of your
way-
points were valid.
the way I will tie this, the way I'll sort of summarize this, we had 3 points we went over. Female silhouettes are too similar. I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, female silhouettes are too similar.
Yeah.
The NPCs have, let's just say that the NPCs are so well designed that some of them look better than Resonators, and that the female designs are too homogenous and revealing. Those were the 3 points we went over. I think I thoroughly disproved the silhouette issue, so I'm going to give myself the point on there.
I'll compromise on that one.
The NPC designs, I think there are some good outliers, but as a whole, I don't think the point
I would
stands
just
true.
like to emphasize.
So I'm
ran
going
up to a random.
to give that a 50-50. And then with the female designs are too homogenous and revealing, I agree. There are so many bugbears I have about the female designs.
I mean,
I
you
will
just have
agree
to
with
look
you
at
on
the
that.
main characters. The
So,
two main character designs.
that puts
problem.
us at 1 point to you, 1 point to me, and a draw. So overall, this conversation meant nothing, and we
it was
our time.
completely invalid. Completely and absolutely irrelevant. All points, throw them in the garbage right now. But I think it proves, even if you love the designs, you can't look past the issues that they have. And even if you hate the designs, you can't look past the ones that do it well.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky sense. They're in a real grey area at the minute of not being bad and not being great. And there is so, like I keep saying, there's so much room. They have got like such a good base to run off at the minute. If they can just keep improving, and I guarantee there'll be skins. If there's not a skins,
I can't wait. They
there will be
hate money.
skins.
They hate money if they don't give us skins.
Yeah,
They
like
just
I
hate
refuse
money.
to believe they won't be skins. If they're not skins, maybe they're anti-capitalist, but I refuse to believe this. This is a gaming
This is a
company.
gacha
and
game.
This is a gacha game. They're not anti-capitalist. There's gonna be skins, and potentially in the skins, they have room to then build off of, like making Yang's character design actually good. I'm not going past Yang's design. It is bad, and I am steadfast in that.
Do you know
It
what
is a
I've
bad
not
design.
seen anyone talk about with Yang's
Where?
design? And this is the point I'm going to end the video on. Is that because of the way they've simulated the physics of her miniskirt,
They had to give it underwear underneath.
she has a dip where her stomach ends. Which I am
just-
not complaining about. That's yeah. That's one way
got like
to design
Barbie
a
doll
character.
anatomy down there.
Literally.
Barbie doll anatomy down there.
Literally.
Oh my god.
So,
But no,
yeah,
room
that's
for
us.
improvement, and I hope they do. I look forward to see if they can build off of what we've got, because they're so crisp, so well modeled. Like, I hope they improve. That's all I'm saying. I'm hoping they really do. It'll look so good if they do. It'll be a 10 out of 10 if they do. Everything else about the game is from what I've seen. Watch there be like a really awful scene in the game, and then this clip gets soundbited.